The problem is we have a mini automatic transmission and it has a leaky axle seal or radial shaft seal, as many would call it. And normally that wouldn't be a big deal, but in this case, on a Mini with an automatic transmission, in order to replace the right side axle seal, you have to remove the transmission. As a matter of fact, if you print out the work instructions for a car with automatic transmission, the very first thing it tells you to do is to remove the transmission. The cars affected by this is the cars that have the W16, the N12, N14 and N18 engine installed. That would be any of the Cooper or Cooper S's from 2006 to 2014, including Countryman, Paceman, Door Hardtop and Convertible. The solution is the AGA Mini Transmission Seal Kit. This kit allows you to remove and replace the transmission seal correctly in a fraction of the time. Let me show you how. Remove the two 21mm nuts holding the lower ball joint in place. There's no need to mark it. It will go back in exactly the same spot. It has a precision fit to the studs on the lower control arm. No alignment is needed. To gain a little more access to the bolts here, remove the 16mm nut on the forward exhaust flex joint. This allows the forward part of the exhaust to move around. It is not necessary to remove this from the vehicle in order to replace the seal. However, during the filming, we'll take it out so you can see what's going on. Now that the exhaust is loose, remove the two 16mm bolts that holds the lower dog bone mount in place. Remove the lower and the upper bolt in the axle carrier bracket. With the pry bar, gently pull out on the right axle shaft. With your hand, push out on a tire, and with your other hand, push up on the axle. It's not necessary to take the axle out. As long as you push it out and push it up, and it sits on top of the transmission, that saves a lot of time. Remove the 4 mounting bolts to create even more space. Now that we have the leaky axle seal exposed and the parts out of the way, we are ready to do the modification on the block and replace the seal. Start with cleaning the excess oil off the area. Apply tape to the torque converter area so that no metal shavings can enter. Be careful not to cover the seal area. For this next operation, I have an engine and a transmission out of a car. You can see what the issue really is. The problem is that this small piece of a total of 3mm is hanging into the seal area on the transmission. So the engine block is preventing you from removing and replacing the transmission seal. This is why they say to remove the transmission. So what we're going to do, instead of doing all that, is just remove this little bit of material and allow us to remove and replace the seal. Removing this small amount of material in this area has no effect on the durability of the engine block and or the transmission. As a matter of fact, in this application, there is no bolt in this hole. You start by taking the centering mandrel and pushing it into the differential. So now we take the block cutter and put it into any drill that has a 3/8 chuck. You insert the saw into the centering mandrel and apply light to medium pressure while rotating the drill. If you have buildup in the saw, you can spray it with a little bit of oil. Push in until the saw stops. It's designed with an internal stop so it does not contact the transmission. Next is removing the seal. For this, you need the little slide hammer and the center punch. Install the center punch into the slide hammer and tighten. Now, place the center punch in the center of the seal. While applying pressure inwards, use the slide hammer to make a small hole. Now, take the remover and install the remover into the slide hammer. tighten the screw. Thread the screw into the center punch hole and gently slide hammer out the seal. To install the new seal, wipe the inner part of the shaft and the outer part clean with a clean shop rag. Install the seal by hand. Take great care to make sure the lip on the seal doesn't fold. Reinstall the centering mandrel into the differential. Now take the seal installer, insert the seal installer into the centering mandrel. Have the flat side of the seal installer towards the machined step. Gently tap it in with a hammer until the tool makes contact and the seal is seated. The seal installer has a machined step that ensures that the seal gets installed to the correct depth. This seal installer works on right and left side of the transmission, but remember to have the centering mandrel installed when you use the tool. Now that we have the axle seal replaced, it is time to fill the differential fluid. You start with taking 10mm socket and removing the drain plug in the bottom. There is an insert coming up that allows the fluid to be set to the correct level. To fill the transmission, you use a special socket provided in the kit that fits onto the fill plug. Take care not to confuse the fill plug with other ports in the transmission. Now, with the fill plug removed, you continue to add fluid until it runs out of the bottom hole. Allow it to finish dripping and reinstall the drain plug on the bottom. Install and tighten the fill plug on the top. Because there's very little clearance in this area from the fill plug to the power steering unit inside the car, a traditional ratchet and socket like this will not fit into the car. Here we have designed the specialty socket. To install on the fill plug, simply put it on there. Because of the great misalignment, you can access it from down below or with the wrench on top of the subframe. Now that the seal is installed, reverse the procedure, put all the parts back in reverse order of how we took them out. Make sure to torque all bolts to manufacturer's specification. As always, this AGA tool allows you to do the job correctly in a fraction of the time. This saves the customer an awful lot of money and actually allows you to get the job. For more information or to purchase this tool, visit agatools.com. Thank you for watching and make sure to subscribe.